Good day. It's July 19th, over 30 degrees outside, and I'm gonna do a video of all of the successes and failures that I've done in this new flower bed garden with the shrubs, the perennials, and even some of the annuals that I put in last summer as well as this summer, what worked and what didn't work. And this will help me not make the same mistakes next year when I rewatch the video, and maybe it'll help someone watching too. All right, let's get started we'll get started on the failures. So from previous videos, you'll have seen a lot of really tall delphiniums, and they're gorgeous, and they're as tall as the fence, as high as it, and it really does make a beautiful impact. But the fail part is that when they're done and I cut them back so that they can actually have a second round of growth and blooms later on in the season. But when I do cut them back, sure is empty back there. And again, this was like from bad planning of not including shrubs first, then a layer of tall perennials, then medium height perennials, then maybe a ground cover if you're into that, and just not layering properly. So now I have huge empty space with nothing really growing in front of it. Now, I mean, I do have some things in front of it. I have some irises that were there. I have this red leaf and red flower Queen Victoria cardinal, and I have some Stella d'Oro daylilies and so on. And yeah, of course they're gonna spread, but they're not gonna get much higher. I will have the juniper grow. I know that's gonna get nice and tall, but it's a narrow type of juniper, so I don't know if it's gonna get much wider than that. And there's still quite a bit of room up until this clematis right here. So it's like, yeah, it's too much empty space, but something I can probably sort out next year once things spread. Another height issue I was having was that I purchased this lovely Japanese maple, Crimson Queen, and it gets only afternoon sun, and maybe that's why the leaves are quite dark. It's supposed to be one of the more red colored Japanese maples. It has the lace leaf, very fine, and it's also considered a dwarf, and it's gonna take, apparently it's very slow at growing, so it's gonna take a really long time for it apparently to maybe get to 6 feet tall. But I think I bought one that was too small for like the immediate impact that I want in this space, which again is height, because I'm not putting in trees except for the junipers. Then I need to have tall shrubs, right? Kind of like how the lovely rainbow pillar serviceberry has grown nice and tall, and so has my smoke bush. That, you know, this guy is going to be so slow at growing that I'm going to be kind of disappointed maybe that I didn't just buy a bigger, taller Japanese maple, and maybe I should have gone with one that didn't necessarily have to be a dwarf. I don't know, and just keep pruning it to the shape I want. So I don't know, I'm just like, that's gonna take a long time to grow here with the canopy that I really, really wanted, right? So I'll wait though, because I still really like him, and I know he's gonna get more red in the fall, so I'm waiting for that, and we'll just see how it goes. And I don't think I would replace it. It's just something I'm thinking about when I'm looking at it. This next fail is what happened to this poor 4-year-old Astilbe that was beautiful originally when I planted it, and then I moved it almost every season after, like starting I think last year, like the fall, and then the spring, and then again in the summer, and then again in the fall, and then again in the spring. And I put it here, I think in May, and it's just, I don't know, it's damaged. Okay, so I don't know if it's just like, obviously I moved it too many times, or maybe Astilbe just doesn't want to be moved, and so did not thrive because of me. Definitely crispy, crunchy in this, even though it's shaded. It's a little bit of dappled morning light. Oh no, that just came right off.
we'll see if it survives. Also, when I was digging it out, I was trying to get a good root ball, but honestly, like, everything just came apart. It's like the root ball wouldn't stay together. So don't move Astilbe. Got it.
Another of my plants that does not like to be moved is peonies. I have 2 peonies that I didn't move around a lot. I just moved once from its original location. One was at my mom's, the other was in the front yard. They've both been there for years and years and years. And I moved them here to morning sun, but at most afternoon shade. And I haven't seen anything on them. It's been 2 years that they've been planted in there. The other one right here. And I'm still waiting for next year. This next fail was my annual box in the front. This was supposed to have Caladium in it. So there's a fail and there's like a huge success. The success is obviously all of this lush potato vine. This is Sweet Caroline, sweet light green potato vine, I think it's called. And originally it said it liked to be planted in partial sun, and this only gets very little bit of like 2 hours morning sun. And it's just like, it's doing fine. Like, I have to pull out vines everywhere. It goes and it creeps up into, you know, behind the shutter. I have to pull it out and it's doing great. But then the caladiums, if I just take you along here, you can see them in there. They are not thriving. And that, I think, is because even though I planted them because I heard caladiums enjoy the shade, and these were like hand-size leaf caladiums, they don't seem to like cool temperatures at all. And we had been getting like down to at least 12 some of the nights, and I know it's next to the house, next to the brick, so it's still like warm, but I think it needs like tropical evening heat, and it's not getting that. And you can tell because they're like kind of curling. It's like, you could even tell they're like, I'm cold. It's too cold up in here. And so, you know, I'll know better for next year. However, I am going to leave them in there and see how they do by the end of August, just because I'm curious. And I don't mind that the vines are just there. Like, they still look pretty, so that's fine. And I'll see how they go. I have also down here a little clay pot of caladiums, and they're also kind of wrinkly and not doing their best. This one's definitely not great. Looks like it's also been eaten by something. And so, and you have to water them so much. I hate that about annuals, you have to water them. This one is, oh gosh, it's some impatient, but oh, I think it kept the tag. Wild salmon, New Guinea impatient. And so this guy does have buds. He dried out. This was my fail. I let him dry out by accident. And I think the fail is caused by, first of all, it's very small pot, so you have to water it all the flippin' time. And I bought a clay pot that I planted it in, which I believe evaporates water faster. Anyways, so I think plastic pot may be better next time for such a small plant. And that's just because I have this this like decorative little bicycle, and I wanted to use it. I've had it for years and years, and I was like, well, I'll just use it the front of my step here, but I have to water it like 3 times a day, so it's not very practical. There we go. Next one isn't a fail necessarily. We're standing by. Definitely this area it has a lot of growth in my hydrangeas. They're Limelight. They're only supposed to bloom like starting kind of now. these are just babies, so maybe that's why they haven't bloomed. It also is not an area that gets any sun. So what I'm noticing though is that I also had gotten a Incredibal hydrangea and I put in the backyard in sun. And yeah, that's obviously blooming. It was like blooming when I bought it. But I'm noticing like with neighbors, lots of neighbors down the street and stuff, they have Incredibal or Annabelle. I'm not sure which one it is, but it looks like Incredibal. It's standing up and it's been blooming for like 2.5 weeks already. And I'm like, so did I make a mistake? Should I have put Incredibal here? Although they get sun, they don't have a huge massive tree. My maple is, or my neighbor's maple is hiding all the sun from this area. So originally I thought, yeah, I'll get Limelight because my Limelight in the back is also in a lot of shade and it did okay last year. And they're hardy and they have sturdy branches and they grow really, really big, like bigger than, I guess, the Incredibal, which is, I don't know, like tops up at 5 feet maybe. And then this one could go up to 8 feet high. So I was thinking this one will thrive. But then I was like, I don't get any blooms until late summer. But maybe I'm just not getting blooms because they're super new and they're just focusing on their root growth right now. Or should I have put in the Incredibles like I see around the neighborhood? I don't know. Again, this place gets max 3 hours of sun, max. The heuchera are doing great though, so. I could actually add more, like, right? Or some annuals in here. Like maybe I should do New Guinea impatiens in here, like maybe white ones or something. Annual stuff for next year. Yeah, for things that worked and were successful. So whenever I planted this humongous planter with my veggies, Lebanese cucumber, and well, let's just talk about the Lebanese cucumber. I think the blackberries are a success, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Lebanese cucumber, doing great. So the success isn't so much that I was worried about the cucumber taking. I knew it was gonna take. I knew that the soil was good soil. It's Pro Mix, garden mix. And also there's like a huge layer of just maple tree branches and stubs and a lot of leaves. And then there's like compost manure. And then there's the Pro Mix. So I knew that that was gonna take. I was like, yes, I definitely had no problem with this last year, but I did have problems with rodents. I think squirrels mostly, that would go in and destroy my baby cucumbers so I wouldn't be able to have any. I only had a handful last year. Now I've had already at least like 15 cucumbers and they get to enormous size. They're protected. I don't know if you can see, but there's actually bird netting across here. I can access from underneath. The bird netting is tied to this base shelter that I put on. It doesn't seem to get too hot in this greenhouse. I do have a thermometer at the back, so I constantly check it in case, but it's always like right at 30 and it seems like it's okay. Coco, come here. I'm gonna go get the dog. Hi. Oh, did you go in the pool? Did you go in the pool? Coco got a shave. He's a little wet because he went in the pool. It's a really hot day. So let me show you these amazing cucumbers. Not bad. The other success is that when I see a cucumber beetle, I just spray it with some soapy water and they don't seem to have damaged much. I just see a little bit of bites here and there, but nothing seems crazy. And honestly, I don't even do the soapy water thing very often. Coco, what are you barking at? You're going crazy. You going crazy? Do you need attention? You want to play? Okay. Success number 2 is this adorable little Bloomerang standard tree. And I call it a success because it's in its first year and it bloomed when I had got it first. It had blooms already on it when I planted it. Those blooms died out. And then I pruned it very gently, just the blooms came off. And then they said that it might stimulate a second round of blooms. So sure enough, I have right now 3 second rounds, and you know, they just started out. The buds are going to open up. Like this one hasn't even, it's just budded up. And so to me, I was really unsure. I was like, does this really bloom 2 times? Like lilacs aren't really supposed to do that, but it did. So I think I'm gonna like it. And I originally thought it was a mistake and I should have gotten a quickfire hydrangea standard, but now I don't know, they smell really nice. So I think this might work out. So I'm gonna call it a success for now, since I'm seeing this already in its first year, and it should only get better next year, hopefully. The original Endless Summer Hydrangea, I call this a success and a failure. It's a success only because it does bloom on new wood, so even if you cut it down to the bottom, you will still get growth and some blooms. So I did get quite a few blooms. I cut some off already to put in a vase. And it did get a lot of extra foliage here for some reason on the west side. And seems to be loving its spot. However, it's a failure because I didn't protect it enough. I put a burlap kind of teepee around it for the winter, but not a lot of the old wood. I think like 1 or 2 stems of old wood survived. So I'll have to protect it even more. I'm not sure how exactly, but I might buy one of those big green tents you can buy and just plop it over. It's a huge tent, like fill it with leaves or something. And I'm hoping that will help, because I do want it to get a lot bigger than always like the 3 feet round. And also I'm going to try to fertilize it properly. So what I did was I did tea bag fertilizing, where I open up the tea bags and take out the loose used tea, and I would just fertilize my hydrangeas with that. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it did something. I'm not entirely sure, but I wanted the blooms to get a little bit more purple, and it didn't. It stayed pink because I have alkaline soil. So I did have fertilizer that's specifically to turn these things blue, and I'm going to try those by putting that fertilizer in the fall and then again in the spring, and we'll see if that changes the color for next year. But I am glad it did survive in itself. These are not extremely hardy in 5A climate, so it's a success, but it's also got some issues. This next success story is with a new plant that I bought. It's a Starry Night Hibiscus. I think it's like, they call them rose mallows, I think. Anyways, it had 3, like 1 main stem here, like the main shoot, and then it had like 2 little arms, one over here and one over here. And I'll turn the camera around so you can see. When I planted it, it had this arm with just as much foliage as this arm. I mean, it's grown a little since I planted it, but what happened was I came out one day and this was twisted. So the stem was twisted and bent down and leaning against the ground. It looked like an animal had tried to rip it off. I don't know what animal would want to do that. I don't think it was the dog, but that's what happened. And then, so I just cut it off. So I was hoping that, yeah, a new shoot would come out, but it has been weeks since I did that, and only this has grown since then. So it's slow. And I heard these were fast growers, so I was a little confused there, but that's why I had chopped it off. So this time around, guess what? I come out a week ago and I see that the same thing happened to the other side branch. So what I did was I decided I didn't want to lose this one because, well, I didn't want it to just have the 1 tree branch. So I put a stint in it. I found a twig. Oops, I'm trying to see clearer there. Okay, let me focus. And I found a twig, and then I used my I don't know, what are these, like Velcro tabs to secure it in place. And I think it's a success story because these buds weren't here when I did that. And now I have new buds. So it's obviously still getting the nutrients and the water that it needs to continue growth, because it was definitely like twisted and bent and leaning on the ground, just like the other one had been. What animal is doing this? Anyway, so more buds up here. I'm hoping to see some lovely light pink blooms later this summer. So that's it. That's what I was concerned with, whether they were gonna make it, whether it was gonna be a success or a failure. And so after this, I'm gonna do a late July tour of the garden. After my trip, I'll be going to Nevada and checking out Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon and doing a bit of a road trip. I might do some filming there, but I really kind of want to put my camera away and just experience and explore without having to think. But I don't know, I might find some really cool plants in the desert and want to share that with anyone, especially Canadians who maybe have never been there or never even thought to look at the type of flora and fauna of the desert. And so I think that will be something that's very interesting to me. And so I might do some videos. If not, it'll be when I'm back from my trip and a really cool end of July tour. I don't know why it's cool. It's cool for me. Okay, have a nice week. Okay. I like it. They're sweet. He doesn't like vegetables.